Here you'll find some music, laughter, and above all, she'll dare to tell the truth. And so come to Granny's place and give your spirit a big boost.
Welcome to Granny's Place, a haven for love, entertainment, and uncommon sense. My name is Sweet Baby James, and I'm here to introduce you to Granny Rocks and to today's theme. Are we thinking about the impact of our behaviors, or are we just obsessing about ourselves? Reminds me of that Beatles song, Oh My, Me. All through the day, it's I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine.
Absolutely. I, me, mine. I, me, mine. I, me, mine. So, well, I'm talking about the impact of our behavior on ourselves and others. So maybe I'm going to focus a little bit more on others today, although I'm not really sure, because you know this is an improv show, so I'm not really ever sure what I'm going to do. But that is kind of the topic. Now, what I'm thinking is that I'm going to start out by talking about what it's like normally. You know, how we normally think and what that feels like and all that. And then I'm going to introduce you to another way of thinking about it. And you may say, it's ridiculous. Just totally ridiculous. And that's okay. You're entitled to think anything you want, right? Because after all, that's one of the things we believe in. And Granny's Place. Everybody should think, right? Don't just believe me because I'm Granny Rocks, but give me the benefit of the doubt, will you? At least consider it, because I think it's a much happier, fulfilling, and all those wonderful ways to be, to live. To live, I mean. Oh my God. Okay. So what is life normally like when we're thinking about something that we want or we want to have happen? How much do we think about the impact of our behavior? Now, like I say, right now I'm probably going to focus on the impact on others. Okay, so let's take a simple situation. I see a line forming for something, and I start rushing. Have you ever done that? Started rushing up because you saw other people coming in. It's like, oh my God, we're going into the bank, right?
Yeah.
And I see somebody, and they're coming from the side, and they're getting ahead of me, and they're going to get onto the line before me and then it'll take me 20 minutes longer because that person is going to have the most complicated teletransaction, and then I'm going to be late, and I'm going to, miss my latte because I'm going to have to go straight to work. Okay, whatever. Or maybe something really serious is going to happen. I'm going to start rushing, and then I'm going to have a car crash because I'm so busy rushing, and it's all because this woman got in front of me on the line. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever had that feeling?
Oh, I've done that lots of times.
Oh, my God. So I find myself, without even thinking, just like speeding up. Oh, that is so embarrassing. Especially if it's a little old lady, such as myself. So anyway, sometimes I say, no, I am not going to do that behavior. I am going to be a good person, right? This is the old paradigm, right? I've got to be a good person, and good people don't rush and knock over little old ladies when they're getting at the line, on the line at the teller, right? We can't have that, can we?
Oh, no. Don't knock over the little old lady.
So then I let the little old lady go ahead of me, and sure enough, she has a 20-minute transaction.
Oh.
And then she takes out her food stamps, and then I really get mad, right?
Oh.
Of course, I'm mixing metaphors here, but you know what I'm talking about. I mean, we get so intolerant of one another, right? So here's a situation where I either have to sacrifice myself. Oh, I'm gonna sacrifice myself. or I'm gonna beat the shit out of the competition. I gotta get there before her, right?
Got to win.
And then the worst thing that happens is that the little old lady who's ahead of me, she's such a nice person that the teller talks to her. Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Oh no, they're having a conversation. Don't they know that I have to get to
They're
work?
relating to each other.
They're relating. I hate
all
that.
the time.
How could they relate to each other when I may not even be in a hurry. I just may be impatient. I may not really be in a hurry. I'm always in a hurry, right? I'm always in a hurry. So if you think that I don't know that I'm off key, you're wrong. This is deliberately off key. So anyway, that's the worst. So then I'm steaming because she's asking, and so how is your daughter since she went to school, to college or whatever? How is your dog, pup? You know what I mean? And I'm seething within now. Can anybody relate? Now, maybe you're retired and you really have all the time in the world, and this particular example doesn't relate to you now, but I bet you'll relate to it sometime in your life. Or I'm sure there are other things where it seems like our needs might conflict, right? So in a situation like that, am I thinking about, does that old lady have bunions on her feet and she really needs to go first because it's painful for her to stand up? It's horrible. She can't even stand. She's got arthritis in her knees and all of that. She needs to go first. It's like, huh? How dare she have arthritis? It's going to get in the way of me pushing her out of the way. Right? I mean, come on.
Or at least being quicker and getting ahead of her.
Well, exactly. And you see, well, that's what I mean by pushing her out of the way.
She's got arthritis. She's got a disadvantage.
Exactly.
She can take advantage of.
You're so right. If I could just move this a little bit faster, and then I act so nice because I don't want anyone to notice that I've been bogarting. So then I open the door for her just to cover up the fact that I'm being a bitch, right? And then I'm standing there thinking, should I let her go or should I go first? I mean, I can open the door, but then can't I push her aside? I mean, isn't there some way that I can get my advantage? And she doesn't know that I have fibromyalgia and I can't stand up at all. But somebody's going to look at me and think, oh my God, this woman is knocking over this little old lady. How could she do this? Oh, how could she do this? Oh! Isn't life made up of tons of these moments where you just don't know what to do? And how often do we think about the impact of our behaviors? In other words, am I thinking that maybe that woman has arthritis, or am I thinking that she's slow and because she's limping along, and so I really need to get ahead of her because she's holding me up and it's not going to hurt her any, right? I'm not thinking that maybe she can't stand up another second, or she hasn't eaten in 3 days because her food stamps that we talked about ran out. Oh my God, I can't even think about that. I can't. I just can't, because I have to meet my girlfriend at Starbucks, or I have to get to work, or I have to catch a bus, or I have to pick up my kids, or I just have to sit down because my feet hurt, not because I have arthritis, but because I'm wearing high-heeled shoes. So, I mean, it's also very difficult to think about that. And then am I thinking about the impact on the teller? I mean, maybe the teller actually likes it when this lady talks to her. Maybe the teller is in pain because her child has just gone off to Harvard and she is really depressed, and this old lady knows about it, and she talks to the teller about her life, and it gives the teller comfort. And am I thinking about the impact on the teller when I'm seething because she's talking to the old lady, and the teller notices that I'm giving her a dirty look like, would you please finish your conversation? Please finish your conversation. Do you get it?
It's a difficult challenge.
It is a difficult challenge. I mean, and we're not even talking about nuclear war here.
Right.
We're just talking about going to the bank.
Right.
Right.
Or the
Or,
grocery store, or waiting in line at the movie theater.
exactly, or going to a restaurant,
Yeah.
and there's only so much seating, right?
Yeah. One table left.
One table left, and this family barges in ahead of you because they move faster than you do. Ooh, now you're on the other side of the stick. Are they caring about you? Are they even thinking about you? Now, sometimes they're thinking about how do I look to the other patrons, right? Oh my God, I look like such a bad person. I look like such a bad person. Don't let anybody notice that I'm trying to get in ahead of that other person. Just keep going fast. Don't look up. Don't look at them. Just don't look around like I'm not noticing because I'm so intent upon my own thoughts that I don't realize that I have just breezed past this family of 16 that's going to take up the entire restaurant. I mean to say, this is our daily life, right? I got to get ahead, and yet I feel guilty because should I be thinking about other people? Should I think of myself? God helps those that help themselves, right? So I got to help myself. I'm not even talking about when people just cut in the front of the line. Oh my God, do I hate that. I never ask myself, do they possibly have a reason for it? No. I just resent immediately. But anyway, there are much more serious consequences for a lot of things where we find ourselves in a situation where we either feel like we have to sacrifice ourselves. I have to sacrifice myself to this old lady, or I'm being a bad person. Or I have to sacrifice the old lady so I can get on with my day because I'm a very important person. And in fact, there is a meeting at the White House, and they're waiting for me to come in with my opinion of what we should do about North Korea. So now I really have a reason to do it. Not only do I have a reason to do that, I have a reason to send someone else to the bank for me and make them go through this moral dilemma about the old lady. So you get what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the world that we have constructed is it's me versus you. Me versus you. And that means somebody has to be sacrificed. Someone's needs. Now, this show was not easy to do because Sweet Baby James and I have been going through an ordeal. May I speak about our ordeal? Well, it has been an either-or deal, just like I'm talking about, but with big consequences. So you see this place, you're looking out a window. This is not a movie. This is a real river. We live on the river. Do you see those trees? Those are trees. Those are big trees. There's mountains and forest and river here where we live. And it's over an hour from town. So it's just marvelous when you get up and you go out walking, you sit on the deck and you're just taking the chi and the sun is shining, which is true for about 5 months or 6 months out of the year. But then when you have to go get groceries, or you have to go to the hospital, or you have to get an x-ray, or you want to go out and do something, then it gets a little tiring. Now, especially if you're old. I remember when I was young, I used to travel an hour and 15 minutes just to get to work. It wasn't great, but it was what was necessary, and I did it. But now, that's you went to work, you worked all day, and then you went home, and some of you are still doing that. Oh, God, it's a lot of driving. I lived in LA. You couldn't take the bus, believe me, from where I lived. So anyway, it's tough. So here we are, and we're in this place, paradise. We love it, until you have to do something, right? And then we don't love it anymore. So Sweet Baby James and I have been trying to figure out what to do, because he wants to go to school in Eugene, and he wants to get on with his own music, and we need to get into town, and I want to live by the river with the big trees. What are we going to do? And what we've been doing sort of unconsciously is fighting it out on the ego basis, right? It's like there's my needs and your needs, and what are we going to do, and how we consider your needs and how we consider my needs, and I'm going to sacrifice for him because I know he really needs to get into town and start going to school and working on his music and, joining a jazz combo, and because Sweet Baby James plays the trumpet and the flugelhorn, and you hear him on the Granny's Place introduction. And so, because I am thoughtful and think about the impact of my behavior, I know we have to go. And he's trying to be thoughtful of my feelings and understand the impact of his behavior, and understand that if he takes me away from this place, I'm going to shrivel up and die because I'm almost dead anyway, and what keeps me going is the river and the love, of course, and the mountains, and I feel so much better here. I mean, I am better here. When we moved here a year and a half ago, I could barely walk. Now I can sort of barely walk, which is a great improvement, notwithstanding 2 broken arms and lots of other things. So, yeah, I can see some reasons that it would be good for me to move into town, and he can see some reasons that it would be better for him to be up here. So we're thinking, oh, well, there it is. See, we both have needs, and they're both served by having both houses, right? Because I need to be here, and he needs to be there, but I also need to be there because there's a lot of things I'd like to be able to get to the dentist, more than once every 3 years. And he needs to be here. Not to mention
the hospital when you have a fall.
Oh my God! When I have a fall and I have to wait 2.5 hours to get to the emergency room, and I'm in agony, then you think, and I'm doing this for what? Anyway, but I'm trying to make a general point. Are you following my general point? So we're trying to work it out by being considerate of each other and coming up with reasons that, yes, it would also be good for me to move, and it would also be good for him to keep this house, which means we have to have 2 houses. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I get it. A lot of people don't have 1 house, and we're trying to figure out how to keep 2. Now, you're probably thinking, oh my God, how incredibly selfish that woman is. Well, no, I'm not incredibly selfish. I know what I need. I think I know what I need. But I don't know if we can afford it. So if the universe is not going to support this kind of money, this house, by the way, we co-own with a friend, so that gives us an excuse. Well, we only have half the bills here, but we can have all the bills there. And so it's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And there's nothing but angst and so much stress around this, right?
Yeah.
And there's something wrong with this picture. I can't figure it out. What's wrong with this picture? There's something I'm not wrapping my head around. And then we have to have 2 of everything, 2 pianos, 4 RD2000s, 1. I mean, I have to, the number of things we have to have in order to keep up 2 houses, and we are not wealthy people. So we asked for a counseling session from me. Now, that may sound ludicrous, but see, I am an intuitive, and we call it 20 Minutes with Beth. You can even get a 20 Minutes with Beth yourself if you ever wanted to by going to the innerrevolution.org website and look at the link that says Private Time with Beth, and there you have a calendar and you can do a session with me, and you'll be surprised what you'll get in 20 minutes, let me tell you. But anyway, this was not supposed to be an advertisement, but I'm just telling you how it all happened. Is we were going to do a 20 Minutes with Beth, and here I am sobbing, insane, depressed, and how am I going to do this? And I just looked at the mountains. See, a very good reason why we should stay here, right? I looked at the mountains, and I was elevated, and I was able to get clear. And what I realized is that we didn't even understand what the issue was, and that's why it was causing so much stress, right? Because the real issue wasn't how is James going to go to Eugene and start his career of music at the age of 74 and become a famous musician, or even get his music recognized, his own compositions and all of that wasn't really it. Take it away, James.
Well, obviously I was focused more on the I than on the we. And once we had the 20 Minutes with Beth, that became clear. And then what also became clear is...
No, but it's what, yes, and yeah. What was it? Because people say, oh yeah, you're being selfish, you want to go to Eugene because you want to do your music, but that wasn't even the point. This was the kicker of the whole thing.
I'm not sure what it was.
Okay, so I put him on the spot, and I didn't warn him, did I?
No.
Okay, well, what it was that he was doing his music as an I.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And that it was about his career as this trumpet player, singer, flugelhornist, his music, his songs, his ego on the wall, who's the ugliest of them all. And so I am feeling like I'm getting dragged away from the place that nurtures me most so that he can nurture his ego. Right? So that was very interesting, because what he realized, he could play his music at home, right? We don't have to be that close and go in and perform every once in a while. But what he realized is it coming back to you now, honey?
Yes, it is.
Would you like to share something?
Yes, that I need to shift my focus from that ego-centered kind of way of being into being with others in a way that nurtures all of us. So learning to play in a jazz combo, to listen to the others and have a sense of what is needed for the whole experience for each person. This is a new kind of challenge. It's like the collective, the needs of the collective and the whole outweigh the needs of the one, or at least that needs to be referenced, in a way that what's for the highest good of all.
So the reason that we have to move into town is that he needs to work with other musicians. So, which is not about his musical career and fame and Day in the Sun. It's about his evolution as a human being to be more in the oneness.
Yeah.
And I've never heard him say that before. Notice that you swiftly forgot. But I know it's in there. Anyway, I just put him on the spot, that's all. So, and then all of a sudden I realized that this wasn't about me getting my needs met versus him getting his needs met, and how do you do that? It was about really getting underneath it. What he really is facing is what I call a transformational moment, right?
Yeah.
A transformational moment where everything changes. When he stops thinking so much about his career and his music and all of that, and wants to work with others, listening and working together. Well, my biggest complaint about James is that he's self-centered. Well, why wouldn't I want him to do this, right? Because this is going to be part of his transformation into a more we-centered person. And suddenly, I was like, when are we moving? Right? Because on the other hand, see, I said I would never get a house or stay in a house where you could count the number of trees. Well, we're looking at a house, and it's got 2 trees. But there's other trees in the neighborhood, right? So they're deciduous trees. They lose their leaves. I mean, oh my God, how can I do that? Well, because the neighborhood has evergreens, right? So I'm not getting my needs met by owning a piece of land that has so many trees you can't even fathom or count them, right? It's like, oh my God, I get to have an experience of getting my needs met in a more collective way too, and having more trust. Because here, when I have a problem, or Sweet Baby James and I are fighting, I go to my trees, I go to my mountains, I go bye-bye. And I like it that way, right? It's my safety. But here, just like he has to have a new connection to the collective, so do I. It's like I'm going to find my safety in an environment that includes other people. Oh my God. And that they are keeping, it just so happens, we don't know if we're going to get this house or not, but we're in the midst of the process. And this house, they are grounds, and people take care of those grounds. Thank you, God. And there's a lot of trees there. Not like here. There's no river. But I can feel some chi, and the most energy I ever get is from connecting with the James. When we're in a good place, we call it synergy, right?
Yeah.
So if he really goes through this transformation, and so do I, we will both be very happy in town.
Yes.
Now, should the universe conspire to have enough income so that we can also continue coming here, that would be divine. But I know where I have to go. And I know that it's for my evolution. See, it's for me. It's not I sacrifice me or we sacrifice him. So when we look at the impact of our behavior, we're thinking in a very narrow way. Whose needs do we sacrifice? Now, we call it in the innerrevolution.org the highest good of all, including ourselves. And it's all in Living with Reality, which I keep telling you about. Free on the innerrevolution.org. No, you cannot have that book free, but you can have all the content of the book free through the ebook or the PDF or whatever it is. And it's platform 4, become mutually supportive. So, do I have faith that Sweet Baby James is going to start really thinking about me, and that we're going to have this synergy? Or am I going to sit here trembling with fear? Well, which do you think would be preferable? I'm going to go ahead in faith. So we are moving to town. So if there is any way that we can also keep coming here, I would thank my lucky stars. But I know the transformational moment is to stop hiding out in the forest and having enough faith in myself and my own healing and the community where we live and the consciousness of others. We have a homeowners association, my God, that can tell you how many dogs you can have. Oh, my God. They tell you can only have 1 dog, but I talked to the president of the board, and he said, don't worry about it. Bring your 2 dogs. They're small. They don't even add up to 20 pounds. No, actually they do, between the 2 of them. So, very interesting, and then suddenly all the conflict was gone. So do you see that when we are not thinking about our impact on others, we are obsessing about ourselves, but we're not getting our real needs met? See, I have a belief which may be complete nonsense, but I use it as a working hypothesis, which is that there is a highest good of all, and that if we just dig deep enough, we'll figure out what it is, and then we can support ourselves and one another. You know, if you were a prisoner and you had a guard who was angry and out of control, that guard could hurt you badly, right? But you as that prisoner may also have be acting out, and you and your guard may both need to have some changes. Like your guard may need to stop expressing his or her, venting his or her anger, or taking out his or her frustration on you, and you need to stop not caring about others and have some kind of command over your own behavior. So both you and your prison guard might have the same need, which is to have more command over yourselves and work together to make what could be a very bad situation into a much better one. So think about it. Think about all the situations that you face in your life, all the conflicts that you have. When you stand there and you're going to that line at the bank and you look at the person that you're angry at, you try to feel them. See, we are all one. I can feel you, you can feel me. We are impacted by one another. If I really knock you over on the way to the bank, how is that going to make you feel? And if I make your world a worse place, how is that going to make me feel? It's not about sacrificing. It's about knowing what is the right thing to do at the right time. That takes intuition, experience, observation, and common sense. More about that another time. In the meantime, have a wonderful week. Think about this. Join us for Granny's Kitchen later on tonight. We can talk about it. We love you.
15 minutes after the show.
15 minutes after the show. All the directions are right here on the post.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I think it was supposed to be 10:08.
I thought it was 10:06.
I don't know. I thought it was 10:08, but I may be mistaken. But I had to finish anyway.
Well, there's nothing wrong with having 33 minutes go.
No. Whichever it was, but I thought it was 10:08. So, again,